Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. And today I'm joined by two of our correspondents looking forward to the return of Premier League and FPL. And they have a London derby of each other in game week 17. Firstly, let me introduce you to our Crystal Palace correspondent, Migtavius. How are you, Mig?
How you doing, James? It's been a while, but I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay.
Yeah. You opened the FPL app yet?
No,
No, that's
no,
probably you and most of the listeners, I should imagine.
no.
And our Fulham correspondent, Dara Curran's in. How are you, Dara?
How's it going?
Good, mate. Have you opened the FPL app?
I almost forgot what FPL was.
It's been easy. It's been easy to do so during this World Cup, but let's try and get back in the swing of things. Mig, how are you viewing Palace's season so far, mate? Happy? Not happy? Somewhere in the middle?
I mean, well, we haven't lost in the last few weeks, so that's always good.
You also haven't won for a while, mate.
That's true, but swings and roundabouts. No, it's been all right. It's side up. We had tough fixtures at the start, which we probably don't. We came out all right with, I think, after a while, and then we went into a good run of games, which we haven't probably taken as much from as we would desired, almost certainly. Couple of green fixtures coming up, and then it gets a little bit tougher. But we've had it in the past couple of seasons where we've had like a good run of games on paper that we haven't really done much with. Gets lots of draws, the odd loss to like a random team like we did with Brentford and stuff last season. But then we come up with a tough run of games and we tend to overperform and get the point. So it's having that being the underdog, not counter attacking stuff that we tend to prefer. So I think we're doing as well as we normally do. We're not pushing any boundaries at the moment, but also not dropping too low, thankfully.
Why is it? Why is it you think that we have this idea with Palace now that give the let's say the bigger teams in the league a lot of trouble, but when you have these runs and we think Palace are good for sort of 2 points per game over this period, it never seems to quite equate. And yet I look at the last five, you won three. It doesn't particularly feel like it though. Maybe because you lost at Forest in the last one. But is there something behind that, or is it just a myth?
No, I think we're definitely a team that does better when we're countering. We tend to try and have a strong defense and then have the odd one or two like Zaha and Ebe Eze and Ayew and stuff who can then go on the counter. We're not really a possession-based team. We don't have too many in the midfield that can kind of just ping balls around. It's more of a helping to secure the defense in the midfield and then have the odd one like Eze or something like that who can transition from defense into attack. We don't pass the ball around 800 times like we're Spain or something. So
But you are evolving in that sense.
Yeah, we're slowly sort of transitioning towards having more sort of technical players, but then we didn't want to. Thankfully, we haven't kind of gone too quickly. So then the sort of like the defensive record has sort of capitulated, and we're just like a flair team that doesn't do anything. Thankfully, we're kind of doing it with a bit of a balance and not losing the essence of a defensive team, but transitioning to a more technically, hopefully more entertaining team.
Yeah, I think some of that transition has been quite difficult though. There was a few weeks where I think about the result at Everton particularly, and even I think in the victory against Wolves that I watched, where you were moving to this 4-1-4-1, where commonly Decore was much deeper than the rest of the midfield four, or the midfield five, if you will, and was getting left hung out to dry a little bit. And then Mitrovic covered in there for a couple of games, and it was really bad, where Vieira didn't seem to solve the problem and go back to a double pivot. Then he did, and things looked better again. But then you had the Forest slip and result. So it felt like to me that he was trying to evolve and put the brakes on a little bit. And I know Suj was so impressed with the way you played at West Ham, for example, in game week 15. And although you won late, you deserved to win, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we did, and it's very nice to hear him say that.
I don't think he said it publicly; he just said it privately.
But we all know he said it. But no, yeah, it was looking all great during the summer and thinking all these players coming in, and then they kind of took on a lot of importance, like Decore and stuff. Like as soon as he dropped out, was suspended, it was kind of, oh, who do you put in there instead? Oh, we've got rid of Kuyate. MacArthur's been injured. Oh, we'll put Milivojevic in, and it's like, oh, okay. And then a couple of defensive things from him, and it goes. Obviously, it's not all his fault, but I don't want to put it on there. But yeah, it's kind of, he hasn't gone fully with it. You could say he's kind of gone with it, and then he sort of, well, I'll bring it back a little bit. Our results aren't going the way. We'll bring it back to what we know. We'll go try a little bit more, or we'll bring it back to what we know. So he's kind of judging that sort of happy ground in the middle where we're performing well and it's progressing, but we're also getting the results to go along with them.
Yeah, it's balancing that. It's a big way to move, even in 18 months, from the Roy Hodgson football to potentially now what Patrick Vieira wants you to be. Dara, how do you see Palace as an outsider and as a neutral? Do you see them, because you've obviously had a super start to the season, your league positions aren't that dissimilar. Are you looking at them at the moment as a competitive rival, someone who might get sucked into trouble, or do you see them as better than that?
No, I think they're better than that. I had them higher up the table by the end of the season, so I expect them to be probably top 10. But listening to what makes it, it's quite similar to actually the way Fulham are at the moment, probably better without the ball than they are with it. So this could be an interesting one. Who I guess the onus is probably on Palace as the home side to come out and attack, but we'll see what way it goes. It could be an interesting one.
Where are Fulham at?
I think that break has come at a good time for us. The World Cup, it just gives Mitrovic, who obviously wasn't fully at it, a little bit more time to get right. We've got Wilson and Solomon coming back from injury as well. Tete had his injury worries, and Kurzawa also as a backup left back option is now kind of in the frame. It gives them a little bit more time to gel. Tosin and Diop have also probably had an opportunity to work as a centre back pairing. So I think, and also we've come off the back of like two pretty horrible last minute defeats against City and United. It kind of gives us a chance to put that behind us and move on to the next one. Because I think if we went straight into the next game from that the following week, that could have been just playing on the back of our minds a little bit. So it's almost like a refresh for us. I think it's yeah, I'm hoping we kick on from here.
You've had to sit on those results though for a while. I mean, I was thinking from a Tottenham perspective, sitting there losing 3-2 to Leeds in game week 16 and thinking, I don't need to sit on this result for the next 4, 5, 6 weeks or so. You've had the sucker of two games that probably in pre-season you'd have gone, well, I mean, in any case at City, don't expect anything. United at home, probably more confident than you would have been in pre-season. To lose both in the manner that you did was actually heartbreaking, wasn't it?
It was horrible, absolutely horrible. And as you say, like you don't expect to get anything from those, but I think that's probably the difference this season compared to last season is those games we probably wouldn't have expected to get anything from when we were in the Premier League last time. And this year, I think we're going into any game thinking, yeah, we can get something from these, regardless of who the opposition are.
I think rightly so. Are you a bit concerned though that off the back of those, it can quickly become 3 games without a win, 4 games without a win, etc., and then you look over your shoulder, or do you just think you've already proven to everyone that you're going to be well better than that?
I think the signs probably indicate that where we deserve to probably be where we are in the table. But as you say, it's not. It's probably 6 points, and then you get pulled back into the group of teams that are battling it out there. So yeah, we do need in the next couple of games to have a win or a couple of points on the table, just to make sure and solidify our position in the table and not get dragged into it.
Mig, have Fulham surprised you this season?
I think Fulham have probably surprised a lot of people that you would ask. I mean, we've had it in previous seasons where the last time they were up and they basically bought a whole new team like Forest have done, and then they've failed to gel and they've become a bit of a whipping boys. But as they've been more solid and they've been more collective as a team, and Mitrovic has kicked on this season, whereas he didn't really in the last time he was up. I think they've got a much better squad, a much better first 11 team, and then adding the likes of Andreas and a couple more technical minded players in the midfield. I think they've surprised a lot of teams, and they could still well clear of the bottom five if Mitrovic continues to fire on. I mean, Mitrovic is a big pointer there because back up you got Vinicius, who, I mean, if Mitrovic goes and you're having to start Vinicius every week, it's not great. But I can't, fingers crossed, touch wood. Hopefully he doesn't, because he'll probably be in most people's teams come the end of this World Cup. He's had a good World Cup as well. So hopefully he'll be back firing. Maybe not this week, the week after.
No, I was going to say, I don't know if he's backfiring now, because I've seen he was enjoying the adulation of Partizan Belgrade fans at a basketball match. I've never seen an atmosphere like that at a basketball match before. Probably louder than Craven Cottage, in fairness, Dara. Was he obviously missed those 2 games against the Manchester clubs. Did that bother you in any way? Because on the outside, I think that a few people are suspicious about it.
I can understand that. I can understand why he did, even if he was kind of probably fit enough to start for us. I mean, the few games that he played prior to that, it came out that he hasn't even been training since the last internationals. So he's basically just going in on no training at all, probably 50-60% fitness, loads of painkillers, whatever it takes to get through the games. So he hasn't been right. You could even see in the first game of the World Cup that he looked a bit sluggish. His movement wasn't great. Still managed to pick up a couple of goals in the next 2. So just getting back into it. But I'm hoping this next couple of weeks rest and then back at it again. We'll have him fresh and firing.
Yeah, I mean, considering he's had injury problems, the 9 goals scored so far this season, is a fantastic return. But as Mig has pointed out, if that is something that's persisting, and there's nothing in the World Cup that suggested it was, do you think the club would go back into the market, or would they trust Vinicius, or would there be a different alternative, do you think?
I'm not sure. I think we probably will be looking in January, maybe not the striker. It's a difficult position to fill, as you know. It's just like trying to bring in someone to be back up to Harry Kane, and Vinicius has already kind of done that.
You've got the same problem.
We spoke about it last time. That you're going to be playing second fiddle.
And Vinicius has done it for both now.
Yeah. So whether it's, I don't know if Vinicius goes, if we terminate that, or if we look at somebody else. I don't know what the answer is, to be honest. It's really tricky. I think there's probably other areas of the pitch that we need to cover as well. Like Palhinha looks like he's picking up yellows like there's going to be no tomorrow. Or if he gets an injury as well, he's another one that's going to be massive. So those 2 probably need sufficient cover.
What's Palhinha on? 6 yellows? Now I want to say it was 5.
I think so. Definitely 5.
5, yeah. He's great. We've been so impressed with him, mate. And I think with respect, you'll probably be getting some sizable offers next summer. I wouldn't be surprised at all, actually.
I wouldn't be surprised either, but he is on a 6-year contract. So.
Just for those who might not be familiar, because he's probably not one that's going to show up as FPL interest, how important is he to you?
Massive, absolutely huge. He's just everywhere, all over the pitch. I don't know. Like, I guess that's kind of, it's just the protection that he offers. Like, Tim Ream obviously doesn't have the pace anymore, but his reading of the game is quite good. And if you've got that protection in front of you, if you've got that protection in front of you that can just break everything up and protect your defense, that's massive. And he's formed a nice partnership with Harrison Reed as well.
Yes, they're a good pair. They're both very capable on the ball and without the ball. Palhinha is an absolute monster.
He's popped up with goals as well.
Yeah,
a bit of everything.
Yeah, he wouldn't even be the worst 5 million FPL asset, but you've got someone cheaper that we'll speak about in a little bit.
I can't understand how no other club has put a bid in the summer for him. Like that's where he's ended up.
In hindsight, no, I mean, he's been away with Portugal. I guess that was that a relief at the weekend that Portugal lost as well?
Not really. He doesn't really feature for the Portuguese team. He's only made a few substitute appearances. So
it's probably more though if they'd have won the competition, they go disappearing for a week, isn't it? It's probably more the issue. Whereas we assume he'll obviously be back for you now. The wide players, Dara, can you just update us on the fitness status of the players in the wide positions, because you've had nightmares this season and coped with it really well.
Yeah, really unfortunate in that area. Both Solomon and Wilson, massive injuries that have seen them out for a long period of time. Obviously, Wilson was back at the World Cup, but I don't think he quite looks back at it just yet. So he might be eased back in a little bit. Solomon's back on the grass training. Says he'll be ready by the time Palace comes around. Whether he'll make an introduction straight away or not, I probably would say no. I think if Willian is fit, I reckon he's probably going to start, because he's been absolutely ridiculous. Like, I don't think any Fulham fan expected him to be pulling up trees, but he's been phenomenal.
I think Arsenal fans will be very surprised to hear that.
The big injury one is Cabano, who's out for quite some time. And then everyone else, barring any kind of updates closer to the Palace game, looks to be kind of in contention.
Yeah, I think Wilson will certainly benefit from you'll benefit from the fact Wilson's had some minutes for Wales. I think that's good news for you. Solomon, who came from Shakhtar, people probably in most cases won't have seen yet. Is he a player we should have a FPL manager should have an eye on once he's fit, do you think?
That's probably the only one that I'd kind of earmark. Maybe just keep an eye on him, because he's a bit of an unknown quantity, to be honest. Not even Fulham fans know what he can do. But there had been a lot of interest in him prior to this, and obviously played Champions League, scored against Real Madrid a couple of times. So there's obviously quality there.
Yeah, he's 4.9, so he's certainly worth having in the back of your mind, I think, once we've seen him play. Mig, I wanted to speak to you about Wilf, obviously, because we always speak about Wilf.
Who?
Yeah,
yeah.
The guy that we all go and buy when you have these interesting fixture runs. Should we just ignore that? Is Wilfried Zaha either a buy and a get, or just leave alone? Because these, how many people sold him before you went at West Ham? Then he returns to 12 pointers. Then people going back again. He missed the penalty 0-pointer at Forest. He's a good troll, isn't he?
Yeah, he likes to keep it interesting. You know, if you're just going to have someone like Haaland's going to score every week, it's just going to get boring. You know,
yeah.
I mean, the poor lad doesn't even play FPL. He doesn't know anything. He just gets messages from people apparently going, "Oh, I've put you in my team. I'm taking you out of my team." And he's like,
"Did you believe that?"
Probably not. No. He's just,
I thought he's got about 4 teams on the go, and he's trying to play it cool trigger. That's what I thought. I thought there's no way he doesn't know.
No, he probably knows people in his mini league have him captain or something. So he didn't just not that match fixing. No, doesn't happen. Yeah, he's kind of the ones where, I mean, people by now should know what he's like. They know if there's a good run of games, I'm going to get Wilf in. He's going to troll me over those period of games. You don't get him for one game. You're getting him for several games, and you're going to hopefully average out to having a good score from him. Or just buy him against Man United. He tends to do quite well against Man United because they probably wronged him in the past sometime. I can't remember. But
game week 22 for those wondering.
There you go. It will come up very soon, hope. But yeah, I mean, there's always going to be potential better options in that area with people like Maddison and Mountain if he can win penalties like that every week. But he always holds a little bit of my heart for being a triple captain, and he got an assist that game. So, you know, I count that as a triple captain return. But,
I've had worse, in fairness, mate. Would he be under serious consideration for you? Because on a serious, I think those who look in very short term, and I think that we're all in this position together at the moment, where it's almost like going into game week 1. We've got the same decisions. People want to buy players for longer term, medium term. Maybe someone wants someone for 2 weeks. And Fulham at home and Bournemouth away looks quite attractive as 2 fixtures. Afterwards comes the dog's dinner of a run.
Yes.
Which, quite frankly, Mig, takes you up until April. If I can just read this run out, and this is why I think these 2 games are very important for you. Tottenham, Chelsea, Newcastle, Manchester United, Brighton, Brentford away, Liverpool, Aston Villa away, Manchester City, Arsenal are your fixtures before you play Leicester on April Fool's Day. That's an awful run. But then we knew this in pre-season, that you had this block of 10 nice fixtures, which I think has these next 2 to go. Then it's a really tough run.
So we tend to do all right in tough runs.
Well, this is it. I look at them fixtures and I know, like, for example, you play my team at home in game week 19. You're very capable of beating my team. I don't doubt that at all. I think we can look at it and go, Palace aren't getting 2 points per game over that run. And obviously, if the next 2 go wrong and then you start that run with some bad results, lose to Tottenham, lose to Chelsea, then suddenly you're only 2-3 points clear of relegation, possibly. And then, concern sits in. But in relation to Wilf, if people wanted to go in for the 2 games, should they not go in for the 2 games? Should they go in for all the games?
I mean, I'd probably say no, just for the 2 games, because there's going to be a lot of other options with better. I mean, you can chase fixtures all you like with greens and stuff, but there's going to be better options in that midfield. People like the likes of Madison and stuff that I said before, even dropping down in price, that are probably for such a span. I mean, that's 3 months. You're going to have Zaha in your team for 3 months looking at his fixtures every week. I don't even know if I could do that to myself. But
so it's probably a no for you.
Probably a no. I mean, he was in my team before I load it up and see what happens. So I would likely keep him for the 2 games. Then I feel a little bit better myself because I already had him, so it's not really a 2-game hit. But yeah, I'd probably say for the 2 games and then shift off to someone in a similar price range.
Interesting question for Dara. Zaha's at 7.5 at the moment. And if you've got any tales of woe, you can come back to him if you want. Pereira is still only ridiculously cheap at 4.6. If Pereira was 6 million and Zaha was 6 million, who would you buy?
Who would I buy between the 2?
If they were the same price.
For the next how many fixtures?
Let's say the first 2 in the first instance. Because if I say 3, I know you'll say Pereira, so that's cheating.
Yeah.
Because you've got a good first 2 as well. Palace away, Southampton at home. There's 2 good fixtures as well.
I think oftentimes we get put off by the price, and that's probably why a lot of people have benched Pereira this season. But if you look at the last 6 games, he started off quite slow, got a couple of assists, but in the last 5 or 6 games, I think he's got 6 FPL returns, whether that's a goal or assist. So he's starting to pick it up. Points per million's probably right up there. Maybe like Almiron or someone like that might have a better than him. So what's Zaha on points wise? I mean,
he's got 3 more.
There's probably not.
He's got 3 more points than Pereira.
Yeah, there's bugger all in it, really, isn't there?
All right. To follow on from the question, then,
who's the Brentford? Is that home or away?
The what one? Sorry, Dara.
Who's your second game? Brentford, is it?
Bournemouth away.
Bournemouth
is second.
Oh, Bournemouth. I don't know. Like, Palace have usually been really well. Maybe just we haven't been very good against them. You have to go back to 2013 for our last win against Palace, and that was when Kasami had that wonder goal. But I think this season seems a little bit different, and I maybe would lean towards Pereira.
I won't ask you, Mig, because I know that you'll back your boy.
Pereira as well, yeah.
Okay,
he's in my team as well.
You're just trying to show me up now. Dara, with that in mind, and the development of people perhaps like Crescencio Somerville at Leeds, should he now be becoming the 5th midfield player? And should we be in a position now where we're just playing Pereira every week?
I don't know about every single week, but certainly, I mean, it really just depends on how you're set up. Like, are you gonna set up to play 5 in the middle and have someone up top, or I don't know. There's still, like, the forwards have offered really good value this season, so I don't know if you could just drop down somebody. It's a difficult one.
No, but I think that's the idea. If you wanted to go 3-4-3, if you went, I mean, for example, if you went Pereira and Somerville, you could have Palace away, Southampton at home, double game week for Pereira, and then you walk into a few more difficult ones, and you can have Somerville for Villa away, Brentford at home, Forest away, and then it comes back into Forest at home for Pereira.
I'd imagine you could probably stretch to 3 premiums if you did that as well.
I think definitely so. That it puts on the table Haaland, Kane, Salah, or alternatives of that, for example. So it's definitely something I'm thinking about more and more. Do you see any way, Dara, that he ends up becoming involved in a deeper position for you for any reason? Because certainly looking at the numbers, you are conceding a lot of goals. You're also scoring a lot of goals. Yeah. But is there any way you could move that to a flatter 3 in midfield, do you think? Or is he going to stay at 10?
I think that's the system that we've always played. That's the system that Silva's always played. He doesn't even really change that much in terms of the starting lineup unless he's forced into it. So I don't see him changing the system.
The other psychological with Pereira, and I think it is a barrier of price in the sense that if he was 6 million and people owned him, we'd probably just play him a lot. The other barrier is psychologically, do I want 2 attacking Fulham players every week?
Yeah.
Because I want Mitrovic as well. And yes, it is a double game week coming up. It's Palace away, Southampton at home. And then by no means not an easy double, Leicester away, Chelsea at home, but still a good double. I would say it's better than anybody else's won that week.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. I mean, so Chelsea haven't really probably played to what they should be playing at.
And it's your game, if you will. It's your big game.
I mean, I wish we had played them at the time we were supposed to play them because they just looked like they were in tatters at that stage.
But judging by what Gary said last week, they might still be, mate, subject to injuries. It is a few weeks away, and obviously, before you play Chelsea, it's probably about a month from now, isn't it? Actually, because it's a very long double, isn't it? You've got the league game at Leicester, then it's Cup, and then Chelsea in the league, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I looked at a couple of drafts today, Dara, and I can't see me not having Mitrovic or Pereira. I'm almost looking for you to tell me why not, mate.
I guess the only reason I'd switch away from Mitrovic is if we hear that he's still got a bit of a niggle, and then I'd probably look at maybe one of the Newcastle forwards or someone in the same price bracket. But if we get the nod that he's going to be fit and ready to go, then I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. He's just a talisman. Everything's coming through him.
Would you consider captaining him that week? And for reference...
Double. Who else has got double?
City. For reference, City have got Chelsea away. Liverpool go to Brentford. Arsenal play Newcastle. Tottenham play Crystal Palace away.
Potentially, I'd have to see close to the time.
But you wouldn't rule it out?
Wouldn't rule it out, but I wouldn't be massively in favour of it just at this moment in time.
I wonder if it'll build near it comes, because obviously Chelsea have a double as well, but which obviously feature against yourself. But of course, Chelsea's other fixtures, Manchester City at home. And the one that would probably stand out right now would be Reece James, I guess, if we knew he was going to be fit. When a captain with Man City as the first part of the double doesn't make sense, does it? Mitrovic actually would make more sense. Would you consider that, Mig?
Yeah, why not? We're going to triple captain Zaha at some point. You know, Mitrovic is probably a better chance of getting returns in a double game week, especially even with teams like Leicester haven't really kicked on from this season. Chelsea, I mean, you just go whack in a couple of set pieces. They're always liable to give a penalty away. So anything better than an assist, you know. Most people triple captain people this like going into the new year and they end up getting 0. I mean, anything's a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll all give up with triple captaincy when Haaland returns the 1-pointer for us this year. Following the double, Mig, you have a run of some difficult fixtures. Newcastle away, Tottenham at home, and then Chelsea away again. Then there's another nice run of fixtures for a few more games. Would you be comfortable keeping Mitrovic for those 3 fixtures? Newcastle away, Tottenham at home, and Chelsea away.
Yeah. I think he's proven now that he can score against any of the he can score against any team. He can beat anyone for a header. I mean, even if you're sticking the likes of Maguire or anyone up there, slab heads, he can beat anyone in the air. He only needs a couple of chances. He's a poacher. You grab one goal against a team like that, and it's better than most of the strikers they get in. So yeah, I'll keep him for those. I mean, it's not exactly like you're looking at a span of he doesn't have a good run for 6 games or something like that. 3 games, especially at that sort of point of the year, they go past so quickly, and then you're into the good fixtures again. Yeah.
Dara, would that be a keep for you for those difficult ones?
I think if you're probably gone with a Mitrovic, you're pretty committed to that price bracket unless you're gonna take some massive surgery to get in like a Darwin or a Kane up front as well as Haaland. So you're probably committed unless something happens or there's somebody else that's gone on a ridiculous form like a Tony or someone else just comes out of the woodwork.
Interesting you mentioned that with Tony, because during those 3 weeks, and admittedly, we don't quite know what's happening with Ivan Toney at the moment, but if he's still playing for Brentford, they have Bournemouth at home, Leeds away, Southampton at home. And before that, they have Liverpool at home. And after that, they have Arsenal away. You really would have to dive in for the 3 and go straight back, I think.
I think the other thing is people are probably going to have bigger fires to put out than switching
exactly
to somebody
that.
else. It'll probably be the last thing that they're thinking.
But we might not, because I think we're likely to land in quite a template game. And if the template's doing well, it might be that it is a viable move when it comes around. I think most people do tend to look over these smaller chunks of fixtures. I can't see me not having Mitrovic or Pereira if they're both fit, Dara. I tell you what I did see, mate, was I saw a team on Twitter over the weekend, a draft. It's only a draft. It had Bernd Leno in it. Thoughts?
Interesting. I don't know if I'd be going with a Fulham defender, even a keeper.
That's with a double in mind, isn't it? Surely
it must be. Not for me personally.
No.
No,
so you wouldn't get.
That's a nice way of saying they're a bit crazy.
No. We're conceding too many goals.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. Who do you think will play centre back now? And I'm not saying every week, but who do you think is going to become the first choice?
It's hard to see past Ream. I think he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet, to be honest.
Agreed.
It just depends what kind of state his body is in after this World Cup. But I mean, realistically, this is probably his last season. I keep saying that every single season. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he keeps going on. But I reckon that Tosin and Diop would probably be the long-term vision for the club unless somebody else comes in. Tosin's only got 1 more year, plus the club has an option. So they probably need to tie him down to a new contract if that's going to happen.
Okay.
But Diop looks like he's settled in quite well.
Mig, was there frustration that Mark Gay wasn't called up for England?
Yeah, I mean, there was always going to be frustration that someone didn't get picked up, and I think because he was involved with some of the Nations League games and stuff, there was a if anyone was going to go, it was probably going to be him. It was probably between him and Eze, but obviously likes of Madison and Mount and stuff, we're going to get in the squad ahead of him. But yeah, I think he deserved to go. I mean, we've done all right in defence. We've done all right in defence in the World Cup. So I don't think he would have seen many minutes had he had gone. But I think the experience of going along was fine. Obviously, he hasn't gone, so that's all right for Palace that he stayed home and been in the training and done now friendlies and stuff. So it's probably better for Palace that he didn't go. But I think for him as a player, I think he deserved to go.
He's obviously suspended for the Fulham game. 5 yellow cards. I'm thinking about that versus Mitrovic. I really can't talk myself out of this, Dara, honestly. That's a big loss for you for that fixture, isn't it, Mig?
Yeah, because he's going to rely a lot more on Anderson, who obviously was away with Denmark. But and he's going to be bringing in someone like Tompkins might feature or be Ward in the middle. So Yeah, so hopefully Mitrovic is, still watching basketball or something at the time.
What's the story with Chris Richards? Are we ever going to see him?
He's been back in training, and
Okay.
he featured a little bit in the friendly, so he may, hopefully by then he may be a little bit better in time for Christmas with mistletoe and wine. So should be
I
fine.
wonder to become best friends with Nathan Ferguson, and we should get very concerned for him. Perhaps I don't know. Any word on Ferguson?
He's still alive, which is good.
It's good, yeah.
That's progress. Hopefully, maybe in the new year. Who knows?
Maybe it'd be 4 million to start next season again, and we talk about it.
Next season's 4 million.
Honestly, poor fella. Poor fella's been injured since you bought him, mate.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It'll probably be 5, just for random.
Ebe Eze, 5.7 million. I love him as a footballer, as you know, mate. He's only got 4 less FPL points than Zaha. Are we actually at a stage we should be looking beyond Zaha and just looking straight at Eze now?
Yeah. If you're budget conscious, yeah, I don't see why not. He's on the corners. He's on free kicks. He's always got an assist in him. He tries. I mean, he's a lot better. At the start of the season, he got like a couple of 1-on-1s, and he just didn't look confident at all with putting them away, which was a real shame. But I think his confidence has grown a lot more. The start of the season, he had that whole thing where he wasn't getting minutes. From like the last season, he wasn't being played, but he's been played in starting games this season. His confidence has grown. So yeah, I'd maybe encourage people to, if you're looking for a Palace, well, maybe in the punt for the next 2 games, if you're looking for a Palace player, just go with someone like Eze or Ebe Eze. Happy birthday to him. It was recorded on his birthday. Happy birthday. And
you can, if you want, mate, you can say happy birthday to me, mate, if you want.
Oh, it's your birthday. Happy birthday.
Mate. Cheers, mate. I thought you put
dressed
that
up in your favorite shirt and everything.
Yeah, no, mate. Listen, I knew you put that. If anything was red, it must have been for Christmas. It wasn't for my birthday, mate. I'm so impressed with the fact that he's managed to start every minute for you this season, and he's getting regular 90s now, considering the terrible injury that he had. And I think there's every chance that when England resume in March, that he'll be in the squad, actually.
Yeah, because it's the sort of thing that when that injury happened, you kind of think, oh, he's quite young. How is it going to affect him? Is he going to knock his confidence? I mean, he's a confidence-based player about taking players on and stuff like that. Is he going to be a little bit more hesitant now? But I think thankfully his confidence grown, and there's every chance for him he would have, well, before that injury happened, there was talk that he would have been part of the Euro squad. So I don't see why not, if he can carry on with the form and hopefully be more of a main attacking contributor, because hopefully, there's a lot of talk that obviously this may be the season that Zaha does leave, and we're going to be ever more reliant on players like Eze to sort of step into that talisman role. So hopefully he'll blossom a lot more, and Gareth / whoever is in charge at the time, and it looks his way.
Michael Eze started the last 5 before we stopped, but you and I know that when the fixtures get tougher, Jordan Ayew tends to come in the team and go with industrial Jordan Ayew, and he probably won't see so many minutes. Is that how you'd still feel, or do you think this period's changed that? Because obviously he did get it was heavily deflected, but he did get the late winner at West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, it's still that thing where Ayew, he's got the engine that to go back and for those bigger games, but I think if he trusts Elisa a lot more, I think he could probably add that to his game. I know he's very laid back. He's so relaxed. He plays football on a deck chair. It's incredible. But if he can get that defensive side into him, then he's pretty much got that right-hand side locked down. But yeah, I think at the moment, the industrial engine that is Jordan Ayew is probably more in those sort of bigger games where we need to back up the right back. And then he'll come on.
I think what Vieira sees in his idea and his mind is Eze and Elise both playing centrally in front of Decore. I think that's what he's working towards. But for that really painful run of fixtures, I'd I think you'd win one or two surprisingly, but you'd take a couple of slappings if you play like that as well, to be honest. So it would have to be Eze over Eze for me if I was going there, Mig. Would that be right?
Yeah, I'd probably, I think a few people asked me before with a run of games like would it be Eze or Eze, and I was like, just for reassurance of minutes, and he's still performing well, it'd be Eze over me.
And Edouard or Mateta, any considerations? I know Edouard missed a couple towards the end, but that was illness and injury related, wasn't it? Is he first choice now? Has he locked it?
I every time I come on here and I say, I think he has, but so I Benteke's still got a chance of starting. I don't know, but I think it's Edouard. He started. I think he scored in the latest friendly against Napoli in their Rudolph jerseys that they got on, to lose to a team with reindeers on their jerseys. It's incredible. I think Edouard over Mateta. I think certainly at the moment, even though Mateta has a nicely shaven head now, so maybe a new look for him for the new year, and he can. Maybe that was holding him back.
Just to point out before anyone adds me, Mig was joking about Benteke, by the way, just in case anybody didn't get that. Defensively, any interest for you, Mig, or would you deem that the fixture list is too tough?
I think with the form that Fulham are in for scoring goals, and even Bournemouth, Solanke's done well for the last few weeks. I don't think it's worth like punting through a Palace defender for the two games, because you're not going to be playing them for most of that run of games. So no, I'd probably steer clear unless FPL just decided to put Ferguson at 4 million and put him right now.
He's 3.9 if he can never get himself fit. Big.
There you go.
He'd also have to get in the team and get on the pitch, and I think I'd need to see him play more than 2 games before I'd be particularly interested personally. Dara, if you were advising listeners on Fulham players and someone said to you, I can't be having 2 attacking players, I just want one, Pereira or Mitrovic, who would you say is the priority, considering other factors outside of Fulham?
I've only got Mitrovic at the moment. Or no, I don't have any Fulham players on my team.
Bullshit, mate.
I don't have any at all. I'll probably go for Mitrovic. I'll probably go for Mitrovic. I think people probably just bench Pereira all the time anyway. So
take the points while you're scoring the goals.
Someone that you want to play. You only get points if they're on the pitch.
Everyone's looking at Manchester United assets. You've scored 4 more goals than them this season.
Yeah.
And you've got good fixtures too, as pointed out. Guys, really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Before I let you both go, it's, I guess, what are we now? Circa 13 days away. A prediction for the game, Mig. Palace v Fulham, correct score?
2-1 Palace. Why not? I'll be optimistic. It's Christmas soon.
He might be in a giving mood. Dara?
I'll go with Desmond.
I like that. I think the Gay absence on the day makes me think that Fulham will get something. Actually, I'll go 1-1. I'm not as brave as the Desmond. And I'll tell you what, lads, as you're both here, and we've never done a Clash of the Correspondents on World Cup semi-finals day before. Mig, what is going to be the World Cup final?
Oh, well, I've got Morocco in a sweepstake, so it's got to be Morocco. And, Messi, I suppose. Messi versus Morocco.
And Dara?
I mean, on paper...
Are you still angry with the French, or are you over it after Saturday?
Oh, I don't give a toss. I didn't care who won.
French who?
It's got to be France, Argentina on paper, but this World Cup's been mental, so you never know.
Yes.
I mean, we've probably waited 4 years for Croatia, France again, haven't we?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's only happened once where there's been repeat finalists in back-to-back years. I think I saw the Germany, Argentina.
Oh, of course, 86 and 90. Yes, you're
That's the only time they've had repeat finalists, I think.
It's remarkable. I mean, if Croatia gets 2 finals in a row, with a population of 4 million, I mean, that's unbelievable. And Morocco's achievement is obviously incredible as well. I think if we've got Moroccan or Croatian listeners, particular best of luck to you two. But yeah, I think logic in the brain suggests it will be France and Argentina, doesn't it? But good luck if you're a fan of one of them nations. It would Morocco-Croatia final would just be incredible, mate.
Well, Morocco still haven't conceded a goal against an opponent, yeah? They only scored an own goal.
That's right, as pointed out on Planet FPL yesterday. It's only a West Ham player that scored against them so far. We don't think he'll be fit, Nayef Aguerd. I think he's going to miss the start of West Ham's resumption at Arsenal in game week 17. And what a great segue, because Clash of Correspondents returns this Friday with Arsenal versus West Ham with Adam Pritchard and Chris Stone. Tomorrow, Sudge will be rejoining me for Sky Fantasy Football Podcast. We're going to start having a more detailed look at some of these fixtures. And I'll be doing an Ask James stream on Thursday. Just leaves me to say thank you very much to Mig, you can follow on the Bird app at Migtavius, and Dara, you can follow on the Bird app at the Tinkermen. Good luck for game week 17, gentlemen. Cue music, please, man child.